This video was made possible by my patrons, and a special thank you to Bella Admire and Logan Shepherd Scally for donating £10. Good evening folks, and welcome to the Koto and Spacey Game of the Year Awards for 2023. This year has been pretty fucking good for games, but I managed to pick out 8 good examples and 1 piece of shit to wrap up the year nicely. And, much like last year, we also have our editor Logan giving their own award for a game that probably came out years ago.
We don't. I couldn't think of any.
That's enough padding the script, on to our first award. The I Hate You For Playing Me award goes to Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. Of course I took the first opportunity to put a From Software game on this fucking list. What do you expect? I'm a shill. I have completed this game nearly 3 times. I have gotten both of the normal endings, and I'm currently spending my time trying to get my Hunter rank up for all the cool parts you can unlock. Everything from the sheer speed of the gameplay to the absolute punch of the weapons just feels so fucking satisfying. Sure, the game really enjoys grinding my face into the dirt when I start to feel like I'm good at it, but that's just a special relationship between me and From Software working as intended. To me, the game strikes the balance that all mecha games should strive for. There are times where I feel like an unstoppable badass raining bullets and grenades upon my enemies, but also, there are times where the game throws a boss at me that has me retry the fight over 15 times, looking at you, Ibis. And putting these two experiences right next to each other just leads to an incredibly well-paced game that keeps me coming back no matter how many times it kicks my fucking teeth in. The Fine I'll Do It Myself award goes to the game that took a classic series and decided to put their own spin on it. If you need an example, think of Stardew Valley to Harvest Moon, and that's pretty much the idea. This award is going to a lovely little game called Cozy Grove, which is very much an indie spin on Animal Crossing. There's a pretty bloody big chance you've never heard of this game. You play as a scout on an expedition to an island to earn some badges, just a small addendum though. The island's haunted, the badges are for helping them move on, and you have a sentient campfire that eats ghostly logs to help you attract more ghosts. Now if you're hearing this and thinking, well, this doesn't sound that much like Animal Crossing, all the ghosts are of bears and other animals and you can hug all of them, so shut the fuck up. The game works on a real-time system with a caveat. The game's days only advance one at a time. If you stop on day 15 and don't play for a few months, rather than all your friends complaining that you've been gone for months, the game will just go straight to day 16. This means for me, day 7 was spring, 8 was summer, 12 was autumn, and then 17 was winter. I genuinely don't have enough time to play a game every day religiously, but when I do get time to play Cozy Grove, I go to help my friends, feed my pet birds, harvest all my trees, then leave. And I have to say, I'm having the loveliest of times with it. Every single bear I have met has drawn me into their story, and I would kill for any of them. The game keeps giving me the option to skip the story, but the day I do that is the same day I accidentally press B on my controller. I've only swore at a cute bear 4 times because of my fat fucking thumb. As always, the Warm and Fluffy with a Side of Dread award goes to the game that simultaneously made me feel very happy, but also caused me some sort of crisis. This year, the award goes to Cassette Beasts. Have you ever wished that Pokemon had a Persona-style friendship system and was gay as fuck? Yeah, me neither, but Cassette Beasts is just that, it's that! All you need to know is this. You wake up on a beach, walk to a town, get told you're in a parallel world between worlds called New Wirral, and in this world, people can just transform into monsters using cassette players and tapes somehow? I don't know either, I just went with it and had a great time. You get a choice between 2 starting monsters and get sent on a quest to become a ranger, record them all, which doesn't really have the same ring to it. Oh, and defeat incredibly powerful monsters called archangels. That's all I'm gonna say, because if I try and tell you anything else, I'll spoil, like, most of the fucking game. Just know, it explores themes of finding your place in the world and finding your identity in a way that kinda made me have a small breakdown several fucking times. But it's a fun little time, I recommend you buy it, and it deserves this award because holy shit, I love it. Also, it's on Game Pass, so get off your ass. The Most Improved Game award goes to the game that quite frankly got its shit together this year, and of course that has to go to Cyberpunk 2077. If you had asked me on release if I thought Cyberpunk was good, I would have laughed at you. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the game quite a lot, but it was buggy and the police system sucked balls. Luckily, the free 2.0 update came out not too long ago and fixed or changed quite a lot of shit. I'm not going to be talking about the DLC because, quite frankly, I couldn't give a fuck, but it exists and if you want to buy it, I guess. For a start, the police system has been reworked quite a bit, meaning that rather than appearing behind you or out of nowhere and killing you because, you're not a fucking clairvoyant, now they actually drive around in cars and patrol the streets. Do the cars occasionally just kind of appear on the map and come for you when you're wanted? Sure. Do I give a shit? Not fucking really. The perk system, on the other hand, has been massively reworked, but I have mixed feelings on it. On one hand, it makes more sense to have skill trees rather than a fuck ton of disconnected perks, but on the other hand, they're all locked behind stat requirements that you need to level up to increase, and I could understand if you preferred that, but I've completed the game twice since the update, and it hasn't clicked for me yet. Along with that, there's also a few minor skills that level up as you passively do things. I quite like that system. I believe it was in the base game as well, or I think it's a holdover of the old perk system. But it just means that I can passively level up as I play and have some more bonuses from it, and I quite enjoy that. So, well done, Cyberpunk, for finally leaving early access after, 3 years. Have a fucking gold star. Returning this year is the biggest disappointment award. Of course, this goes to the game that let me down the most this year. This year, the winner, I guess, is Starfield. Okay, before you get your pitchforks out, please let me clarify, I definitely think it's a bad game. You're wrong if you think it's good. It's essentially just, what if we watered down Fallout 4 more, somehow, and then put it in space? It's basically just a shit version of the Outer Worlds, with more planets, which somehow means the content is more diluted and more fucking shit. I'm sorry, I was bored, I gave it its best shot. I tried to play the game it wanted to play, I tried to play the game as a settler, I tried so much, and I was just bored out my fucking skull. There's so much empty shit. I know that's how space is, and it's realistic, but here's the thing. There's a fucking reason that games aren't realistic. Okay? There's a good reason. Every single space game would be the most boring experience on the fucking planet if they were realistic. If the Outer Wilds was realistic, it would be over in 22 minutes. And you know why. Realistic space games do not make fun space games. That's why we do sci-fi, to add something to it. And Starfield is just boring sci-fi. It is empty. Barely anything happens. There are no stakes to the story. If you enjoy it, just know space games get infinitely better from here. Okay? They get so much better. There's a reason that, to my knowledge, Starfield is not winning a single Game of the Year award from any major actual Game of the Year award dealio. I'm only mentioning it because I got really excited because I was expecting Fallout New Vegas in space, and I was so excited. I was expecting, they own the people who made Fallout New Vegas now. I was fully expecting, the Outer Worlds, but on a bit of a larger scope. And instead, I got a piece of shit that was fucking buggy as fuck. The Indie Gem Award goes to the little game that I wouldn't have found if not for services like Game Pass or people just telling me that games exist. Like we used to do. This award goes to Sea of fucking Stars. So good. Holy shit. Sea of Stars has to be one of the only JRPGs I've enjoyed outside of, Atlas JRPGs. I don't know what it is about the genre that's put me off. It may be that I don't tend to be a fan of turn-based combat due to kind of feeling detached from it. Luckily for me, Sea of Stars does a Paper Mario or Mario RPG kind of dealio with its combat by having you press A to block or perform stronger hits or time spells, with every spell having its own fucking unique timing, and oh, it's so good. I've completed it now. It's so good. I'll freely admit that at the time that I wrote this script, I was not that far into Sea of Stars. I needed to get this script done because I was approaching the deadline. But it was such a nice adventure. Holy shit, the game was so good. I have a criticism though. The save system. I know it is a JRPG thing to have fixed save points, and there is an autosave, but here's the fucking thing. I'm an adult with a job, ADHD, and some kind of thing approaching a social life. If I suddenly get called into work or need to close the game for whatever reason, being able to save directly from a pause menu is a godsend, and honestly I'd consider it just a thing that all games should do, because there is no point apart from genre conventions from consoles that a lot of the time we're saving to, like, temporary means or external saving points. You know, it's not a thing we need anymore. Like, being able to save at any time is a much better system for the modern day. Like, if the game crashes, for fuck's sake, I don't want to have to replay 5 minutes of content, because nothing is going to make me stop playing a game quicker than having to replay bits of the game. I'm looking at you, Persona 4. I stopped playing that game for 3 months because of a crash. I don't like that system. But other than that, I don't actually have any other criticisms. It's just the save system, and honestly, I kind of just needed to get that off my chest. The pixel art is amazing, the characters are lovable as fuck, the story honestly made my head hurt at times because it got a bit complex near the end, but spoilers, fuck you. I wanted to give this an award. I didn't originally have an award for it, I'm not gonna lie. I just needed to give this game an award because it's so good and I had such an amazing time with it, and I'm gonna go and play New Game Plus after I record this, probably. Anyway, next award. The How Did You Make This Work award goes to the game that I look at and wonder who the fuck the developers sold their souls to in order to get the thing to fucking run. What else but Shadows of Doubt could win this award this year? For those not in the know, Shadows of Doubt is an open-world detective cyberpunk immersive sim that takes place completely in a procedurally generated city. Everything from the layout to the names and occupations of the residents is generated when you hit New Game. Immediately though, someone misses their morning coffee and murders another resident, and it is up to you to collect evidence, make an arrest, and file all the paperwork with City Hall! My favourite thing to do in video games! Fucking paperwork! The real main draw of the game for me is the sheer fucking scope. There are hundreds of NPCs, from random schmucks to shopkeepers and some naughty boys running illegal weapon shops underground. Every single building is enterable and has lists of workers or residents. On top of that, most if not all buildings have fully formed ventilation systems that you can John McClane your way through in order to access a crime scene or the suspect's house or a randomer's house if you just feel like being a bit of a creep. I'm truly looking forward to this game exiting early access because I want to see where they go with this concept. I mean, for fuck's sake, every single person in the city has a unique fingerprint and schedule. The biggest problem at the moment with the game is that it just seems to be a bit buggy in the vent generation, and occasionally, I won't lie, I'll go up a staircase and find myself falling through the world, but it's worth the occasional bug just for how amazing it is. It's so in-depth. It's great. It's so good. The only reason it didn't win Game of the Year is because the next game exists. I think we can all agree that this year has been amazing for games apart from Starfield. But this game has to shine above the rest. My game of the year this year is so obviously Baldur's Gate 3. Because how the fuck could anyone's game of the year this year not be Baldur's Gate 3? Full disclosure, I've literally never made it past Act 1. But that's only because my little ADHD brain gets a little bit overwhelmed about that point just because of all the new characters that are introduced at the end of Act 1, and there's a lot of plot going on and it moves a little bit too fast and my brain goes, ah! But, you know, it's a thing. I don't really need to explain what Baldur's Gate 3 is, and I don't think I could if I tried, but let's fucking do it anyway. Baldur's Gate 3 is a D&D campaign ran by the most horny dungeon master ever. Seriously, by the end of the first act, I'm pretty sure all of my companions had at least tried to fuck me, flirt with me, or drink my blood. It's fucking great! I'll actually try and sum up the start of the plot now. You wake up on a spaceship with a parasite in your skull that's going to turn you into Cthulhu's most disappointing cousin. Yes, this is a fantasy game, just bear with me. You make your way outside the room you're in to see the ship is being attacked by catgirls riding dragons, one of which immediately reveals that she also has a parasite and decides you must work together to stop the ship from crashing too badly so that you can survive. From here, you'll meet many companions who share in your plight and choose to either reject or embrace the Cthulhu powers that your parasite gives you. If you're anything like me, you'll accidentally get at least one of your new friends accidentally permadead and get dommed hard by a catgirl trying to be nice to them. Baldur's Gate 3 is an amazing in-depth RPG. So in-depth. It is literally D&D on a computer screen. It's fucking great. It truly deserves Game of the Year, but I physically can't write more about Baldur's Gate 3 if I try, because I just get so caught up in shit that doesn't matter, and I'm trying to keep this somewhat concise. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm trying to currently play through it properly. I think I've gotten to just the start of Act 2, and I'm starting to get that overwhelmed feeling, but I'm going to push through it. I'm going to try to push through it as best I can, because I just want to see it to the end at this point. Probably not going to complete it this year, though.